You're listening to the Churchosity Podcast, where we talk about the quality of being the church. Welcome to another episode of the Churchosity Podcast. I am your host, the Theological Coordinator.
And I'm your co-host, the Mrs. Theological Coordinator.
This is the show where we normally would talk about the hard stuff and the tough stuff, and we would normally ask the questions that maybe a lot of Christians might be afraid to ask.
Or maybe even answer. But as it says in 1 Timothy 1:5,
the goal of our instruction is love.
From a pure heart.
And a good conscience.
And a sincere faith.
So as I said, you hopefully caught that in the intro, that normally we would be doing an episode about some hard stuff and some tough stuff and asking some, hard questions to talk about some pretty interesting and occasionally heavy things. And we thought that, after all of these episodes of talking about so much serious stuff, that we do something fun on this episode.
Okay.
I think we need a little bit of fun in our lives.
Am I still going to be afraid to answer the questions?
You might be. You might be.
Yeah.
But no, sometimes, especially if you've grown up in a fundamentalist home or a legalistic home, or you've been in a church environment that's kind of wound a little tight.
I don't know what that's like.
There is this tendency to be hesitant about enjoying things that take place in the world.
Yeah.
Things like movies or music or television shows or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And so, because the goal of our instruction is love, and maybe it is some hard stuff and some tough stuff, we're going to talk about some of our favorite things that have to do with entertainment on this episode.
As a disclaimer, I was not raised in a fundamentalist Christian home.
Neither was I.
Okay.
So I was kind of the black sheep of the church most of my life.
Yeah.
I grew up in a home where we watched a lot of television.
Yeah. Same here.
We saw a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a lot of concerts, and we ate out at a lot of restaurants. So for all intents and purposes, we were a rather worldly family.
Right.
But we went to church every Sunday and worshiped Jesus.
Okay.
So I'm here to testify that it's not all bad.
Okay.
And that Scripture says that we are in this world, but we are not of this world.
That's true.
And the things that go on around us, they're meant for us to enjoy.
Okay.
Paul says that everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial.
Right.
So in moderation and within reason, we as Christians can enjoy worldly things without living worldly lives. So anyhow, enough getting preachy.
Okay. Let's get started.
Let's have a little bit of fun. So, honey, you and I are going to talk about our top 5 favorite things in a handful of categories.
Okay.
And while some would want to joke or lean towards having a bit of fun, where this would be kind of like the dating game, where I should know what your favorites are and you should know what mine are.
That's not the case.
Well, it might be a little easier for you to guess what mine are than for me to guess what yours are.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. So we're going to be discussing our favorite movies, television shows, our favorite bands and singers.
Okay.
And I had to break those into 2 separate categories because I didn't think it was easy, really. I mean, maybe I can just do my favorite bands and my favorite singers because they're different.
Okay.
Favorite songs.
Okay.
And favorite actors.
Yeah. So I'm going to have a real hard time with this.
Oh, really?
I'm just not bent that way. I mean, I like music and I like TV shows and I like movies, but it's hard for me to pick something that I would label as my favorite. I mean, I have a few, so I'm going to try real hard, and I might just lump a bunch of movies into a category and I really like this movie genre or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to have a harder time with this than you are. I know I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, you witnessed it here first.
What?
That was my wife's very kind way of telling me that I'm a lot more worldly than she is.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, so which one should we
Wow.
start with? Which one should we start with? You pick.
Let's do movies.
Movies first. Okay.
Movies.
Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, let's go back and forth.
Let's go back and forth. Okay. Well, this one is actually really tough for me
Uh-oh.
because I've seen a lot of movies, which I'm not saying to brag,
I have not.
which you are saying to brag.
Kind of. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, certainly there's a lot of epic films that most people would put on this list, and some of you will be shocked, I'm sure, at what has made the cut on my top 5. And within the last couple of years, there's a couple new ones, I think, in my list. So
Really?
we'll just start right off. So
All right.
my number 5 favorite movie of all time, The Hunt for Red October.
Okay.
I absolutely love this movie.
Wow.
Now, just as a disclaimer, when I'm talking about movies, for me personally, and maybe the audience, maybe our listeners can relate as I describe why this category is what it is for me. These are movies that are currently owned by myself, and yet if I see them show up in the guide on television, I will watch them on television
Yeah.
and still have the same like emotional response to them, even after seeing them for the 150th time. So The Hunt for Red October, that's one of
Okay.
my all-time favorites. It has to be. I mean,
You quote from it a lot.
careful in there, Ryan. Some things in there don't react too well to bullets. There's my Sean Connery for you.
All right.
All right, what about you?
Oh, gee. Well, I like Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. Oh, the M. Night movie.
Yeah.
The Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, I really like that trilogy.
Oh, the Split trilogy.
Yeah, the Split trilogy. But I like Unbreakable the
Yeah.
best because that's the one with, what's his name?
Bruce Willis.
Yes, Bruce Willis.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. So I was thinking of Bruce Willis because
Yeah.
I love that whole trilogy, but his character in particular and how it. What's the last movie of the series? It was Unbreakable. It would then
Split.
and then Glass.
Glass.
Okay, so Split was okay, but it was kind of scary.
Yeah, it was very
It was
scary.
a little scary for me.
And Glass was a little scary too.
Yeah, but I really liked it. I don't know why. I just liked it.
Unbreakable has a great side arc of a good redemption story.
Yeah.
It is a really good movie.
Yeah.
Really, really good movie. I mean, I like superhero movies anyway. And so
It was kind of a non-traditional
very.
superhero movie. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Fun fact
It's
about
funny because I like M. Night's movies.
Yeah, and fun fact, most of M. Night's movies are based on like bedtime stories that he writes for his children. I read that in an article
Sleep
somewhere.
Tight.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Not all of his movies are that way,
Yeah.
but some of them were. All right, number 4. It's going way back for me
Way back.
to our like early teens.
Okay.
Lucas.
I think I've only watched that once.
Man, I tell you what, that's Corey Haim, Charlie Sheen, and the redheaded gal from Goonies, whose name I cannot remember.
Okay.
But they're the 3 main characters.
Yeah.
And Lucas is this kid. He's like very, very small. In the 80s, we would have called him a dweeb or a dork or a nerd or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
He was like major into bugs. And he was sweet on the new girl, who was the redhead girl.
Uh-huh.
And Charlie Sheen was like the star football player of the school. And Lucas got picked on all the time. Anyway, I don't want to ruin it for you, but I'm going to tell you right now. The end of that movie, we could put it on right now. Just the end scene of the movie. And I bawl my freaking eyes out every
my.
single time. Such a great movie.
Wow.
Such a great movie. What about you?
Oh gee. Now that it's getting tough because we started out at number 5. I only had 3 in my mind, so I just gave you. Okay. I like. I like the Marvel movies.
Yes.
So, and it was fun because I one time I had surgery, so I was stuck relaxing for quite some time, and I ended up watching the series, all of the movies in correct order.
Oh yeah, when we did the marathon.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great time to do it.
That was really fun because I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
So we watched all of the Marvel movies in sequential order. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what that is, I guess you could Google it, because they all kind of lead into each other.
And if you have Disney Plus, it does the work for you. Fun fact.
We did not profit from this plug for Disney Plus.
No.
But
The views displayed on this program do not reflect the views of Disney or Disney Plus or Marvel.
I think if I were to pick maybe 2 Marvel movies that I really like, I like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Of course.
A lot.
So funny. Great movie. Yep.
And I like, I think the Thor movie, was it Ragnarok?
Ragnarok.
Yes, that was a good one too.
The one with Jeff Goldblum in it as the game maker, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good flick.
Yeah.
Great flick.
Yeah. So I really like the Marvel movies a lot. So.
Absolutely. All right, number 3.
Okay.
This one, if people out there in listener land know me enough, this one should not come as too great of a surprise. That would be Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go into the story here. Maybe I'll do a bonus episode that'll be a riff venting episode about Zack Snyder's Justice League. But the version of Justice League that was in the theater was not Zack Snyder's movie. The Zack Snyder cut, or the Snyder cut, hashtag release the Snyder cut, was exclusively released on HBO Max. And it is like 4 hours long.
Wow.
And I've watched it 7 times.
I've watched it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
Some of the best superhero movie cinematography, just an incredible piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
And
I really like the Justice League movies, also the DC stuff. Mm-hmm. And I like the characters a lot, of course. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, there's something about the humor that's in the Marvel movies that appeals to me personally a little bit more.
Totally get that.
Especially the Snyder cut. And by the way, I have to admit, I'm so ignorant when it comes to this kind of stuff, because I had heard in passing that there was this new Justice League that was going to be released and blah, 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 Snyder, yada, yada, yada. And I said, honey, when is the Rob Snyder cut going to be released?
The Rob Snyder cut. I remember that.
So, yeah, it wasn't Rob Snyder. It was Zack Snyder.
And it's Rob Schneider.
Yes, I know. My apologies.
You can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, one of the main reasons why I like the Snyderverse so much is because it's dark.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. It's a little dark for me.
Yeah. So it's for me, it's not so much DC versus Marvel, because to me, they're 2 completely different worlds, not just superhero franchises, but because obviously before the Snyderverse, you had varying versions of Batman and Superman that were not dark. I mean, it could be argued that Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns are dark because that's his style.
Right.
But they were more comic booky, type of movies.
Who did the Dark Knight trilogy?
That was Christopher Nolan.
Oh, okay. I liked those a lot,
yes,
too.
And those are loosely based on the Dark Knight graphic novels.
Right.
So, of course, I loved those as well. But those were his vision and his packaging. And, he produced Man of Steel, Snyder cut of Superman, which was an origin story of Superman. Fantastic movie as well. Anyhow, so Justice League, Snyder cut, that's my number 3.
That's cool. I mean, all I was going to say was, if you grew up watching Superman from the 80s, the Christopher Reeve Superman,
yes,
it's a lot different.
Very.
Yeah, than the modern day versions of Superman in the DC world. But, yeah.
And for a lot of us Gen Xers, Superman 2 holds a special place in our hearts.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I liked those movies
Back
growing
to you.
up. Okay. So what are we on now? Number 2?
We're on number 2.
Already?
Already.
Forrest Gump.
Yes, I would totally agree with that.
Yeah.
That's my Jenny.
If I'm flipping through the channels and that show or that movie is on, I will stop and watch it. It's one of my favorites. I have to say but I have 2 more after this.
That's fine. You're not being graded. You're not breaking any rules. This isn't a legalistic podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, so my number 5 was Hunt for Red October. Number 4 was Lucas. Number 3 was Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so let's just say that Forrest Gump is your number 3.
Okay, yeah.
So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Lady in the Water.
Lady in the Water, another M. Night movie.
It is. And I have to tell you, it's funny because most people haven't watched that movie. So I feel like a big nerd when I say, "Oh, Lady in the Water," and nobody even knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, most people don't even know what that movie is.
But I don't know. There's something really awesome about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fairy tale, and it's just a total redemption story about these people who have a purpose and a calling, and they don't even really know that they have a purpose and a calling, and they're just kind of like this mixed batch of people that are just, some of them are kind of losers and they have these obsessions about things they don't even understand why. And then all of a sudden it all comes full circle and it comes together, and all of a sudden they realize why they have these abilities and it makes sense to them.
Yeah, it really is an overall metaphor to say that everyone is here for a reason.
Yeah.
Far too many of us have yet to understand or realize what that purpose or reason is for being here. And it takes something from outside of us to bring it to pass or bring it about.
Yeah. And sometimes we never see all the pieces put together to make the puzzle, but it's kind of cool in the movie where they do that and you realize, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And especially at the apex of the movie, and you're like, oh, yes. And it's just really, I don't know, it's just a great movie, I think.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
And it's different. So it's a little different.
And it's got a really great cast, too.
It does. Yeah.
It is a great movie. Well, my number 2, don't laugh, is Peter Pan. The animated version.
Yep.
I remember when I was a kid, I saw on television, the Mary Martin version of Peter Pan, the live stage version of Peter Pan. And when I was like 5 or 6 years old, the animated version re-released in the movie theaters. And I remember going to see it with my mother as a little boy. And I remember getting a big, huge button with Peter Pan's face on it. And I just remember watching this movie. And I think that my mother took me to the theater to see it like 10 times.
Wow.
Like, I just love that movie. It's my favorite ride at Disneyland to this day. To this day, when I ride that ride, I get teary-eyed. I mean, it is it's not my number 1, but it's very, very close to my number 1 favorite movie of all time. It never gets old. I think that at one point I owned 4 different versions of that movie. Yeah, because there was like the diamond release and the platinum release, and then there was the one with all the bonus features, and yeah. So some would call it obsession, others would call it's just my favorite movie.
Okay. I really liked it too when I was little.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. And
So-
it's it's a really good ride. I like
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So we're up to our number 1s.
Yeah. All right. So my number 1 movie is well hated by many.
I know what it is. You gave that clue, and I'm like, I know exactly
many
what it is.
people hate this movie so much, and they just like, when I tell people that I love this movie, they roll their eyes and they say, oh, I've never even watched it all the way through. Okay. It's A Wonderful Life. Okay, I know it lags in the middle.
It
okay.
does.
And it's a really long movie. It could have been cut to be a lot shorter, so it flows a lot better. But I don't know, it just something about it. It's just so great.
So here's the $1 million question.
What?
The original version in black and white or the colorized version? Which do you prefer?
I like the colorized version.
You just got some more hate mail.
Yeah, I mean, I like them both. I like them both. I don't really care. I just like the movie.
I have a confession to make. I never, ever watched it once until like 12 years ago, I think was the first time I watched it. And I was mad at myself that I never watched it because it's actually a really great movie.
Yeah, it is.
Really great movie.
Yeah. And I think... once again, I like it because it has redemption at the end.
Of course.
And
we love a good redemption story, don't we?
Yeah. And it's just kind of like changing your perspective on, I mean, and it's kind of true in all of our lives. If only we changed, we had a change of perspective. We could just tweak that a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, nothing in his life changed other than his perspective.
Right.
And, you know.
And his attitude.
His attitude, yeah.
Well, some of us like a good redemption story. I like a good conspiracy theory.
Oh, boy.
So my number one movie of all time is JFK.
Oh, wow, that's a long movie, too.
3 hours, and it's like 3 hours and 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I own the director's cut, which I think is 17 minutes longer.
Wasn't that Kevin Costner?
Kevin Costner. Mm-hmm. The cast of that movie, oh my goodness. Kevin Costner, Sissy Spacek, Walter Matthau, Michael Rooker, also known as Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Just an amazing, amazing movie based on a book called Rush to Judgment. It's such an incredible movie. Of all of the Oliver Stone movies that I have seen, this is by far, in my opinion, his best piece of work. Just my opinion. Some would argue with that, but whatever. So, yeah, fascinating movie. Absolutely fascinating movie.
That's cool.
All right, so there you have it.
Yay.
There's our top 5 favorite movies of all time.
I did okay, too.
You did fantastic. So you want to move on to TV shows?
Sure.
TV shows.
Oh, boy.
How many hours of staring at the TV screen will we never get back?
Well, yeah, exactly.
You want to go first on this one with your number 5?
Sure, okay.
Okay.
Well, how about we go way back?
Way back.
And, I mean, you know, I watched a lot of TV as a kid, unfortunately.
Many of us in our generation were latchkey kids.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that I really loved Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so, all right, up until, like, the last few seasons, those last few seasons were not so hot. But especially like the first early seasons.
When the kids were little.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Michael Landon. Mm-hmm. Pa.
Yeah.
And I just love that show. It's so funny. It's so good.
And everybody felt sorry for Nels. And was his name Nels?
Yeah, Nels.
And what was their daughter's name that was just evil?
Nellie.
Nellie. Oh, everybody loved to hate Nellie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they replaced Nellie with Nancy, wasn't having it.
They should have just canceled the show.
Yeah, it was over for me. I wasn't into it.
Well, my number 5 is also from way back.
Okay.
Way back, like early elementary school years.
Okay.
Like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning as a second grader.
Hey, I did that too, and I know what you're going to say.
To watch this show.
Can I guess?
No.
Okay.
Okay, guess.
I forgot.
I'll give you a hint.
Our Star Blazers.
It's animated. Star Blazers.
Right.
Derek Wildstar.
The Stod.
And the Argo.
Yes.
In the U.S., this was the first anime that was released in the U.S., and it was, English dubbed, and they ran 2 seasons. But there's a 3rd season that never made it to the U.S. And it is subtitled in English, but the original Japanese voices.
Huh.
And it's dark, so I think that's probably
Yikes.
why they never released it in the U.S. But, man, classic show.
I think I was in the 2nd grade, and I was obsessed with that movie. It was,
What a great
or that
show.
TV show. Yeah.
What a great show.
It was great.
Yep. Number 4.
We were the lucky ones with cable television who could watch that.
It was
show.
on KSTW, Channel 11, in the greater Seattle area.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was on like WTBS.
And if you got a late enough start in elementary school, you could watch Star Blazers at 7, and then at 7:30 you could watch the Banana Splits.
Oh boy.
Which, if you were to show that show today, it's an awful show.
I bet.
Not because it's garbage, but because it's like trashy, like very adult.
Was it really?
It's creepy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll let our listeners Google that.
Huh. I never knew. I didn't know that.
Number 4.
Okay, I really liked Laverne and Shirley.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't know if it would be my top 5 though. Let me think about that again.
I don't know. You did a marathon with the girls a couple of years ago, and you all loved that show. Like more than Happy Days, you guys love that show.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I went back and tried to watch a few episodes of Happy Days, and it was really sexist. It was really awful. I was like,
it was
oh
the
my
50s.
gosh. Well, I mean, it was supposedly in the 50s, but it aired in the 70s.
True.
Right. So it was period piece.
But Laverne and Shirley, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as a side note, you watch some of those sitcoms that were popular in the 70s. You watch them today, and man, there is a lot of adult humor in those shows that just went right over kids' heads. They were like geniuses.
How about Three's Company?
Three's Company.
Now that was a show. Of course, I have to talk about this because, all right, I went to Catholic school, elementary school.
Yes.
I was in Catholic school, and our school was told, like the school sent out a newsletter or something, a bulletin to the parents, telling them not to let their children watch this show.
Oh my gosh, that's as bad as the evangelical church in the 80s telling everyone to protest Last Temptation of Christ.
Right. So my parents got that, and they're like, "What? We love that show. Let's watch it."
Come on, kids, let's watch it twice tonight.
It was on ABC Tuesday nights at 9:00.
That's right.
8:00 was Happy Days. 8:30 was Laverne and Shirley. 9:00 was Three's Company.
Right.
Okay, so I'd have to say, I think a part of the reason I liked it was because it was naughty and I knew I wasn't supposed to be watching it.
Of course.
But my parents were letting me anyway, so I felt special. And then all of us cool kids that came to school the next day on Wednesday were like, "Hey, did you see Three's Company? Ha ha, blah, blah, blah."
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. And I have to say, John Ritter was really hilarious.
Of course.
He's a great actor.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, my number 4.
Or was a great actor.
Yes. My number 4.
Yes.
ER.
Ugh, I never watched that show.
Gosh, I loved that show. I think it was on for like a total of 9 seasons or 7 seasons. It was on for quite a long time.
Wow.
And there was a period in the middle of its run where it kind of went left field and stopped becoming so much about what happens in the hospital and more about what happens in people's personal lives. And I kind of like got away from watching it as much, but towards the end of its run, they started bringing the original characters back as part of the farewell to the show. But yeah, that was a great, it's so intense. And you know, that was probably the first television show that I ever watched where I felt like I was personally getting invested in some of the characters.
Wow.
I mean, that's George Clooney. Like what made him famous
right.
was that show. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I never watched that show because I don't like hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father passed away right around the time that show came out, and I was like, no hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 3.
Number 3, Star Trek Next Generation.
Really?
Yeah, I really liked that show.
Wow.
The characters are classic.
Totally. Wow.
You got the Picard.
Yes, the Picard. Make it so, Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
And number 1.
Yeah. And Geordi.
Yeah.
And Data. Yep.
Counselor Troy.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a good series.
Yeah, it was a very good series. I think it was seven seasons. All of those Next Generation Star Trek shows, I think, were 7 seasons. Deep Space Nine, Voyager. Yeah.
But that was the only Star Trek series that I ever really got into. And I remember watching, and I was like, wow, this is great. And I was hooked.
When I grew up as a little kid with my stepdad, I think it was every Saturday night, the original series was on TV, and we would get our Star Trek pajamas on, pop some popcorn, and make cocoa and watch the original series.
Yeah.
But Next Generation, good choice.
Thank you.
My number 3, Lost.
Yeah.
Love that show.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, my top three, number 3, number 2, number 1, they could all be my favorite show in their own categories. But the reason why Lost is number 3, because I didn't like the end.
Yeah, you didn't like the end.
I mean, we've done marathons a couple of times and watched the whole... And it's one of those shows that even though you know the ending, you go back to the very beginning and watch it through, and you see something else, and you see something else, and you learn something new, and it ties... You know, season 3 ties in with something in season 5, and something in season 4 ties back to season 1, and it's like, oh. And like you have these revelatory moments.
Yeah.
But then it just ends.
Yeah. Well,
like not Sopranos ends, but it just ends. And like there's at least 1 or 2 seasons more of material to be had there.
Yes, there were.
And so that's why it's at number 3.
Yeah. I would agree. I really like that show too. I would, it's really up there in my top 10 at least.
And you can't
because we
help...
have watched it through maybe 3 times.
At least, yeah.
And I've really enjoyed it. Especially the first time we watched it together. And, we'd start philosophizing.
We would call each other during the day while I'm at work. And say, I was just thinking, John Locke. Yeah, and it was crazy. But that's like another one of those shows where you can't even help but get invested in the characters because every single episode revolves around a character. Like a different character on each episode. So, yeah.
I don't even think I've figured it out even now after watching it 3 times.
Well, I won't spoil it for the audience. Go figure it out for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you the answer now, but I'll spoil it for you.
Sorry, I snorted. Number 2. I really like This Is Us.
Yeah, that one didn't make my top 5.
No.
It didn't. But
it makes me cry every episode.
Every episode, yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's my recent show that I really like watching.
Yeah. I think that especially in the most current season, they take some of the current events in our world a little too far.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. It's still a phenomenal show. Like I don't like Lost is one of those shows just like This Is Us, where there isn't a bad actor or bad character on that show. Like even the characters that are annoying, they're still great characters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a great show. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not dissing This Is Us. It's a good show.
Yeah.
My number 2, and this was tough.
What?
I teetered back and forth between my number 2 and number 1, but at the end of the day, and you'll understand why when we get to my number 1, but my number 2 favorite show of all time, Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah, I like that show too.
Such a great show.
Yeah, it was good.
That is one of those shows I will never forget. I think that the show had already been completely done and off the air and was being released one season at a time on DVD. And a good friend of mine came to me and said, listen, because he's also a big movie and TV buff like I am. We have a lot in common, this friend of mine. And he said, hey, Heath, have you heard of this show Breaking Bad? And I'm like, nope, I don't know anything about it. And he goes, okay. So it's about a high school chemistry teacher who is dying of cancer and learns how to cook crystal meth to put money away so his family can be taken care of after he dies. And I was like, why in the world would I ever want to watch something like that? And he goes, trust me. And he lent me season 1. And he said
on DVD.
And he said just start watching it and watch the first episode. And if you can't handle it, if it's not for you, I will not be offended. I watched the first 3 episodes and fell in freaking love with this show. I ended up going to you, remember? Right. And I was like, okay, we need to watch this show because guess what? All of that I just described the show, it's happening in the background. There's so much more to this story.
Wow.
And anyway, it's one of those shows that from beginning through the middle and all the way to the end, everything is fantastic. Everything is just so incredibly fantastic. Love that show. And it ends beautifully.
Yeah.
And there's been 2 spin-offs. There was a movie on Netflix called El Camino.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a spin-off show that's actually a prequel.
That was Jesse.
That was Jesse Pinkman's character in El Camino. And then there's a spin-off show that's a prequel to Breaking Bad called Better Call Saul, which is also a phenomenal show. But Breaking Bad, number 2 favorite show of mine of all time.
That is a good show.
So now we're to our number ones.
All right, we're to our number ones. Okay. There's 3 shows that I like that are vying for number 1. And the losers get bumped to number 6 and 7.
Or they can just all be tied for first. Just say them all quickly.
Okay. Well, don't pressure me. I'm going to forget what they are. All right. Downton Abbey.
Yeah, we just watched that recently.
I just really love the characters, and it was really fun watching this show, and I loved it. I got into it, and I didn't think that, I think it ended too soon. There was more. I wanted more. I want to know more about it.
Yeah, and the movie kind of pretty much tied everything off, too. The movie after the show.
Yeah. I need more.
Yeah.
It's not done yet in my mind. Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Sheldon. Okay. I love Sheldon.
We need some more Sheldon in our lives.
I like Sheldon and Amy. Yeah. And their characters are hilarious. And Leonard. And that show, it's so funny. It's just such great comedy.
That could probably be my number 6.
I love Sheldon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great show.
Good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess that's about it. I don't even want to say the third one.
Why not?
It's The Office.
It's what?
The Office.
Oh, yeah. That's another great one.
Yeah. Yeah. But after I said Big Bang Theory, I mean, Office kind of pales in comparison. So it's definitely down there at number 6.
But Office is in your top 10.
It is. It's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Where do you want to go now?
Let's do actors. Since we're talking about that kind of stuff.
Okay. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I want you go. You go first.
Okay. But my number 5 favorite actor of all time, and it's because I've actually been following him as an actor since I was a young boy, when he was on public television, and that is Mr. Morgan Freeman.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Morgan Freeman. Uh-huh. I don't think that there's a single thing that I've ever seen him in that I don't like. Like, seriously. I mean, the first time I ever saw him on anything was when he was on The Electric Company when I was a kid. He was on that show on PBS when we were kids, right? But he's in, like, Lean on Me, Shawshank Redemption, Bruce Almighty. Like, for real. If anyone out there in Listenerland knows somebody who records celebrities doing voiceovers out there, and I will pay you for this, hook me up with Morgan Freeman reading the New American Standard Bible from cover to cover. I will love you forever. Right. Seriously. Mm-hmm. Seriously. But yeah, Morgan Freeman, top 5.
Why don't you tell me your top 5 altogether? So.
Okay, my number 4.
Yeah.
Al Pacino.
Okay, yes.
Al Pacino, The Godfather.
Yeah.
He's just amazing. Mm-hmm. Now, there's some things he's done that I'm not crazy about, but fantastic actor. Number 3.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Just a beautiful actor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love his work.
Okay.
Number 2. Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
Love Kevin Costner's work. Mm-hmm. Most of his work, but yeah, amazing actor.
Yeah.
My number 1 actor of all time, and this may shock people, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Love me some Tom Hanks. You said Forrest Gump earlier. I mean, think about it. Saving Private Ryan.
Yep.
Oh, what a movie.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I remember back in the early days of his career when he was on Bosom Buddies.
Yes. I loved that show back in the day.
He was in Splash.
Yeah.
That mermaid movie.
Yeah. Big.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he's been in so many
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. IMDb that guy.
Yeah.
You'd be shocked at how many movies the man's done.
Yeah.
Just incredible. So there's my top 5 favorite actors of all time.
Okay. For me, it's been really hard coming up with names because half the time I don't pay attention to who these actors are. I just appreciate the movie or the TV show while I'm watching it. And then I have a hard time remembering their names.
Right. And that's where I can help you out. You can literally get away with it and say, that guy who's in such and such a movie, and I'll probably know who it is.
Right. I like Keanu Reeves.
Really?
I like some of the movies he's been in. I like the Matrix series.
Yes.
I like that recent stuff he's done.
John Wick.
Yeah, the John Wick stuff. And I just think as a person, he's kind of a cool person.
Yeah, he's a really neat guy.
Yeah.
I would
So
agree.
he's definitely in my top 5. I really like Paul Giamatti.
Yes, you do. Yes, I know this for a fact. Yes, you do.
I think he's a really great actor. And I like
And
his
he's the main character in Lady
Lady
in the Water. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and Tom Hanks, definitely.
Uh-huh.
He's on my list. I actually wrote his name down,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And I agree on so many levels that he's probably my number 1 favorite actor.
Mm-hmm. Castaway.
Yes,
Oh.
I mean, he's great. And he's also the voice in Toy Story.
Of course.
Yeah.
Woody.
Yeah, Woody, exactly.
Howdy, partner.
You gotta help me out a little here.
Poisoned the water hole.
Yeah. Well, if I move on to television and I start thinking about, I said Little House on the Prairie, and I like Michael Landon.
Of course.
He was
Makes
just
total sense.
great. And I even, with my father, would watch Bonanza.
Oh, young Michael Landon. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yes. Okay. Rockford Files. Who was that?
James
actor?
Garner.
Yes, James Garner.
He was the man.
Okay, I loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about that show so many times about how cool it would be to make like business cards and IDs in the back seat of your Camaro.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good show.
If we weren't Christians, the
Right.
things we'd do.
Yeah, I'd make up a business card on the fly.
Totally.
I'm an inspector. Yeah. Oh.
All right. Well, let's shift gears.
Okay.
Let's move into the music category.
Okay. That's even harder for me. Well,
Do you-
maybe not.
Okay. Well, do you want to do bands and singers?
Yep.
Okay. So I have 5 favorite bands and 5 favorite singers.
No. Okay.
So you can do band/singer.
Okay.
I'll do band and singer.
All right.
Okay. My number 5 favorite band of all time. New Edition. That's like the
They're
Jackson
not on
5.
my top 5.
That's
but
like
I
the
do
Jackson
them.
5 of our generation.
Yep,
We're
yep,
like
yep.
just young enough that Jackson 5 is before our time.
Uh-huh.
And my number 5 favorite singer of all time,
Yes.
Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Hey. He's on my top 5 list too.
Because you like him more than I do, and that's fine.
I do like him.
Yeah, he's got good stuff.
He's the only Christian that made my top 5. He's
Okay.
my favorite Christian singer.
Well, I have 2 Christians in my top 5.
I know you
so
do.
you're worldlier than I am in this one.
Shock.
So who's your number 5 then? Is it Stephen Curtis Chapman?
Yeah, I might as well put him there.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song of his? I'm just curious.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I have a favorite. Be Still and Know still rocks my world. When I still get emotional when I hear that. I Will Be Here, the one he wrote for his wife.
Yes.
I love Saddle Up Your Horses. That's another good one. Or Busy Man.
Okay, I've got
Speechless.
2. I got 2.
Okay.
Way Beyond the Blue.
Oh yes.
And
That's-
then
ooh.
my favorite song by Stephen Curtis Chapman is very not well known, but it gets me right in the feels. In This Little Room.
In This Little Room. Yep, I knew it.
Yeah, you guys have to Google that.
That's
Definitely,
One that, that's
it's
one that makes you
so
go
good.
right
Yeah.
in the feels.
Yeah, I cry. Okay, maybe I'm just gonna tell you all the top 5 songs that make me cry. Oh, but I'm already telling you songs now. But I'll come back.
All right.
I'll
Number 4.
I'll reel it back.
Number 4. My number 4 favorite band of all time. Chicago. Love Chicago. Never a bad show live. And, unlike most Chicago fans, I am a pre-Chicago 17 fan. Like, I grew up listening to Chicago. Okay. Like, Saturday. Like, way back
That's a
then.
big deal to people that are older than us.
That's true. Yeah. Like, you go to see them in
People
concert.
that are younger than us are like, who?
Yeah. You go to see them in concert, and you see people that are, like, younger than the Gen Xers, and they only know, like, 3 songs. Like, You're the Inspiration, and... but they start playing, think it was the 4th of July or 25 or 624, and the music starts, and they're like, I don't know this song.
Right.
Not me. I know all of them.
And then, wasn't it Chicago 17? I mean, they actually numbered their albums.
Yeah, they numbered every single one of their albums.
They have a lot of material.
Yeah, and I think that they have like 25 albums, because they did like 2 Christmas albums, and yeah.
Holy moly.
So my number 4 singer, Michael W. Smith.
Okay. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do really like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Billy Joel.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Billy Joel has such a golden voice that if anyone sings with him or next to him, they are shabby by comparison. I mean, shabby.
He can't hit the high notes like he used to, but yeah, he still tears it up.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's my favorite song? I can't tell you what my favorite song is yet.
Always a Woman.
No, that is not my favorite song.
It's mine.
Oh, well.
We Didn't Start the Fire.
Yeah, he's got so many
Allentown.
good ones. No,
Piano Man.
maybe Piano Man. Yeah,
You may be right.
Gosh.
Yeah.
There's so many.
My number 3 favorite band of all time. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, really? Man, it's like you're like 5 years older than me.
Wow.
Or maybe older.
Jeez.
It's a good band. Earth, Wind, and Fire. But you grew up listening to that.
Yeah.
And I grew up listening to country.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my family listened to country.
Yeah, my house was...
I don't blame you.
My house was rhythm and blues and disco and funk.
Yeah,
Like,
that's so
my
cool.
whole childhood, man. Like, that is one of the few ways that you and I are very different. Is
Right.
like kind of our roots musically. But yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Right.
Yeah, totally. And my number 3 singer, Luther Vandross. That man could make my toenails curl when he sang. Oh,
really?
that man, let me tell you. Here and now. Oh,
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Give me some Luther.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. For me, I like John Cougar
Oh,
or
yes.
John Mellencamp. I guess you could. He's what he.
Same guy.
Yeah. I just.
Do you like John Cougar? Do you like John Mellencamp? Or do you
John
like John Cougar Mellencamp?
Yeah.
It's kind of like P. Diddy.
Yeah. Didn't he have? He had like a greatest hits album or something, and I bought his CD, and the whole thing is good. It's
Yeah, it's
just
like-
there's not a song
It's like
on
20
it.
songs on there.
There's not a song that's bad.
Nope.
All of them are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Jack and Diane, Pink Houses.
Small Town.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, he's
Hurt So
classic.
Good.
Yep. I could listen to that every day.
Yeah.
He's good. And I hear artists trying to emulate him all the time.
We heard one just the other day. You mentioned
Exactly. I'm like, man, this guy's trying to sound like John Cougar Mellencamp.
that. Totally.
So he's a legend.
Now, my number 2 favorite band of all time was my number 1 favorite band of all time until about 12 years ago. And I'll explain why when we get there. But my number 2 favorite band of all time is U2.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely love U2. And this is one of those bands that I've never even been given the opportunity to see live. And it breaks my heart
Yeah.
that I've never been able to see them live.
They did come to our area once,
Yeah, it was.
and it was impossible to get tickets.
Yeah, I think it was like right after the football stadium opened, and they sold out like instantly. And that's like the only time they've ever come to our area.
U2's on my list too.
Yeah, they're just classic band. Love their music.
With or without you.
Oh, even before that, Gloria, New Year's Day. Yeah, I mean, just, yeah, great stuff. The Rattle and Hum album. Yeah, great stuff.
What was the Joshua Tree album?
Joshua Tree.
That was I like that album.
That's our high school years. That's when that album was out. With or Without You, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, Where the Streets Have No Name. Yeah, great album.
I really like that album.
Yeah.
I would say that they're number 2 for me, probably.
My number 2 singer of all time? Don't laugh.
I'm going to laugh, because every time you say don't laugh, I laugh anyway. Okay, who? What?
Justin Timberlake.
Like, oh.
I just have always loved Justin Timberlake's singing and performing.
Yeah.
You know, fun fact about me is I love choreography. Like, and watching, like when he was in NSYNC, the boy band thing has never been my thing. But when he went solo, I'll never forget it. The first time I saw him solo on the MTV Music Video Awards, when he performed Like I Love You, I was in shock at how amazingly talented that young man is. And yeah, number 2.
Wow.
By far.
Okay.
Number 2. If I ever had the chance to meet that guy and sit down with him, not only would I share the gospel with him,
Right.
but I would try to sing with him. Like, seriously.
He's a Southern boy. I'm sure he knows the gospel.
Well, I'm sure he's heard the gospel.
I'm sure he's heard the gospel.
Touche.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So we're up to number 1 then.
Okay.
Me first?
Yeah.
My number 1 band of all time.
Oh, I know this.
It's Coldplay.
Yeah.
There's a story behind it, but I won't share the whole story. But I've always loved Coldplay's music. Like, before they were famous, they have an album that most people don't know. It's called Parachutes. But their music was, like, ahead of its time. And in the summer of 2009, I had the golden opportunity, because the tickets were a birthday present for me that year, to see them live at an outdoor amphitheater. It was a religious experience for me. Wow. And that was the moment where U2 got bumped to number 2. And wow. I love their music. As a band, their worldviews are kind of weird. That's okay. They don't get paid for their worldviews. They get paid for writing music, and their music is amazing. Plain and simple. Yeah. My number 1 singer of all time?
I know this.
It's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
It's Michael Jackson. I mean, it's Michael Jackson.
Billie Jean, Thriller.
He's the most groundbreaking solo artist ever. I mean, he had more talent in the Band-Aid on his pinky finger than a room full of people have combined. I mean, seriously. So yeah, there's me.
Wow.
What about your number 1?
Well, it's kind of funny because when I list all of these artists off, I'm not like really rating them. I'm just telling you what comes to mind. So maybe my number 1 isn't necessarily my number 1, but I kind of have 2 that I can say. And they're from my country roots.
Oh boy, I think I know who they are.
I don't know if you do.
Well, I'm not going to guess. What can I guess?
Go ahead.
Okay. One of them would be Dolly Parton.
Okay, yes. One of them is Dolly Parton.
And ironically, growing up, we listened to a lot of Dolly Parton in our house too.
Yeah.
And the other one, if I had to guess?
You're not going to get it. Maybe you will. Oh my gosh. Is he going to get it? Is he going to get it?
If it's not Patsy Cline, is it Kenny Rogers?
Oh my gosh. He knows me. It's Kenny Rogers.
My mother made me listen to Kenny Rogers my whole childhood. I saw him 3 times live at the Puyallup Fair with Dottie West.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, front row.
I never got to go to anything.
There was one time there was a double feature at the Puyallup Fair. It was Kenny Rogers and Dottie West opening for B.J. Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Hooked on a Feeling.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Kenny Rogers.
It warms the cockles of my heart that I know you well enough to know your two favorite country singers.
I love Dolly Parton, and I love her music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I love her more than I love her music, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because she was a major entrepreneur for women in the music business.
Yeah, I just think she's great.
Yeah.
And she's, you know.
And she doesn't take crap from anybody.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah, she's an inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Totally
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. She has, you know, a few songs that I really love, but, you know, as far as like her whole repertoire, I'm not totally familiar with.
Yeah.
But Kenny has a lot of songs that I do like.
If our listeners want two songs to cry to,
Yeah.
go on your Spotify right now and look up Kenny Rogers, Coward of the County.
Mm-hmm.
It will rip your guts out. And then if that's not enough for you, for icing on the cake of teardrops, search for Dolly Parton, Me and Little Andy.
Oh, man.
And then write the show and tell us about how many buckets of tears you cried.
Well, and then top it off with Stephen Curtis Chapman in this little room. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now we're talking about songs.
What a great segue.
Exactly.
It's our last category.
Wow.
Our top 5 favorite songs of all time.
That's so hard for me because I have genres. Like, I like songs that make me cry. I like songs to like drive to. I like songs to rock out to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to like bring them all together and just pick 5. But yeah. So you go first.
Number 5,
Yeah.
Clocks by Coldplay.
How does it start? Dun, dun, dun. Is that one?
No, but thanks for playing.
I think they all start like that. Dun, dun, dun.
That's Speed of Sound or Viva La Vida. No, it's the.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. We're going to drive our listeners crazy.
Yeah, I know. Clocks by Coldplay.
Okay, Clocks.
First time I ever heard that song
Yeah.
was in the soundtrack of Peter Pan with the real actors in it in the 90s. What's your number 5?
Beautiful Day is probably is up there and
By U2?
yeah.
That's off the Rattle and Hum album, if I remember right. No.
Beautiful Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because it came to mind.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
My number 4,
Uh-huh.
House of Pain's Jump Around. Bah! Who doesn't get up out of their chair no matter where they are, and if they could do it while they were driving, they would do it when they hear bah, 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 bah. Back it up, back it in. Who doesn't go crazy when they hear that
Everybody
song?
goes crazy.
Jump
Yeah.
around.
Jump around.
That is the
Jump
club
up,
hype
get
song right
down.
there.
Yeah.
That is the carpool karaoke hype song right there.
Yeah, it's a good song.
So that's my number 4.
Wow. Okay.
And you, my love?
I'm thinking about the people that I picked for my favorite artists, and I'm trying to think of the songs that they've sang that I like the best. And I've already mentioned like With or Without You, and I mentioned In This Little Room, and Way Beyond the Blue. Let's see. What artist? Oh yeah, Coward of the County. Okay. Here's one by the Judds, sorry.
The Judds?
The Judds.
Oh. Grandpa?
Tell me about the good old days.
Oh, yes.
I gotta love that
There's
song.
another one that just...
Yeah. See, why do I like those songs that just rip my guts out?
because they talk about real life.
Oh, that is a good song.
That is a good song.
Man, I can listen to that 3 times in a row and blow my head off.
That's a lot for you. 3 times in a row.
Yes, it is. And I'm not one to easily cry either.
True.
So, yeah.
My number 3. This I Promise You by NSYNC.
Yes.
I've loved you forever. Oh, what a great song.
Yep.
Oh, love it.
That is a good song.
More from you?
I think I like that Small Town song by John Cougar Mellencamp. I like that
I
one.
was born in a small town.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when that was on the radio, one of our local radio stations did a call-in contest that if you could count the number of times he said the word small town in his lyrics.
That is so funny.
And I think it was like 26 times or something like that, if I remember
something like that.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It's a good song. Again, no bad songs by that guy.
No kidding.
My number 2 song? Rocket Town by Michael W. Smith.
Yep.
Love that song. Love that song. It's like a story of a person meeting Jesus for the first time. And just being blown away at his grace and mercy.
Wow.
And being captivated by wanting to know him more. And this person thinking that their life is meaningless, without purpose, and headed nowhere, and then they have an encounter with Jesus, who changes all that in an instant.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yep.
This is going to shock some people. Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Oh my goodness. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
You better lose yourself.
Mom Spaghetti.
In the moment.
That's all I remember. Mom Spaghetti.
I just, he was just revolutionary
Yeah.
in his rap style.
Yeah.
And everybody, ever since then, he really changed rap.
Yeah. He really did.
Yeah.
A different style. Yeah.
A different way of the rhythm and the rhyme. It just was different, and it was unique. And that's my favorite song of his. I mean, he has other good songs, but that one, it's a good one.
One of the things that I've always been impressed with about him, he was discovered by Dre, by Dr. Dre. And, Dre discovered a lot of talent when, Dre was, after leaving NWA and leaving Suge Knight and Death Row Records and all that and branching out on his own, he discovered talent like rappers and singers, like some of the greatest rap and singing talent that's ever come out, like Nate Dogg, incredible singer. And he discovers Eminem, who turns right around and starts his own production company and discovers other talent also, like 50 Cent and a bunch of other guys. That's one of the things that's always impressed me about Eminem is his talent is like untouchable as an artist.
Yeah.
He's untouchable, but to duplicate, what was done for him, that's always impressed me about him. That one shocks me. That is your number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good song though. My number 1.
Okay.
You should be able to guess this.
I don't know.
Human Nature
Oh,
by Michael Jackson.
there you go.
That is, to this day, my jam. That, to this day, it will come on the radio and I will cry. Like, there are not that many people in this world that, first of all, can believe how much I loved Michael Jackson and his music. But they cannot believe how, like, devastated I was when he died. Like, I remember driving down the freeway and getting a text message from my brother telling me that Michael Jackson had just died. And like, I thought he was messing with me.
Right.
And I had to like get off the freeway and turn on the news and I just lost it right there in the car. When I was younger, my old roommate, when Stevie Ray Vaughan died,
Yeah.
this guy wore black for 30 days to mourn the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan was an amazing talent, but like I wasn't a fan of the guy, right? That was Michael Jackson for me. Like, seriously.
Yeah, no kidding.
And when he died, I want to say that it was June of 2009. That it's been that long since he passed. And
Wow, has it been that long?
it's been that long, yeah.
Wow.
That Human Nature song, man, that's his jam.
Wow.
In my life. Like, that's just, that's the one.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of Michael Jackson songs that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I were to pick one of his that I like the best, it would probably be Beat It.
Yeah. You like the Eddie Van Halen riff in there.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would go the Billie Jean route.
Yeah.
But that's just because of Motown 25 and his dancing.
Yeah, his dancing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I associate the two. Right.
Mm-hmm. I like guitar. I like a lot of the guitar.
I think that musically, Beat It's a way better song.
Right.
Because of the guitar and like that's a lot more musical than for 3.5 minutes.
That's true.
But the way he danced to Billie Jean in concert,
I know, it's impressive.
Yeah,
it's really fun to watch those on YouTube now.
Yeah. So, Love, what's your number one song?
I like The Lion and the Lamb, that worship song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Big Daddy Weave.
Big Daddy Weave.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Leland also came out with a version.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I like that song. And another song, one more. I like Rocket by Herbie Hancock.
Rocket by Herbie Hancock. Classic.
I really like the
song.
lyrics in that song.
That Herbie Hancock is a lyrical genius.
Right? It's awesome.
Forget about the fact that he's a Grammy and Academy Award winning composer.
I know all the words to that song.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, even though we're Christians, we are not of this world, but we are in this world. And the message behind this episode is have fun with the things in this world in moderation and be filled with joy.
Mm-hmm. And that is all we have to say about that.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Churchosity Podcast, the show about the quality of being the church. And thank you, as always, to my amazing and rule-breaking co-host over there.
Aw, you're welcome. Be sure to follow us on all the socials. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Churchosity Pod. Drop us a message and give us your feedback. We'd really love to hear from you.
And if you're listening to this episode on Apple Podcasts, please be sure to give us a rating. 5 stars are always appreciated, but never required. And be sure to write us a review. All of this not only helps to support the podcast, but it also helps with spreading the word to others about the Churchosity Podcast. And don't forget to also help spread the word about the Churchosity Podcast by telling a friend to tell a friend what we're doing here.
Yeah, let them be part of the conversation too.
But always remember that the goal of our instruction is love.
From a pure heart.
And a good conscience.
And a sincere faith.
So we thank you once again for listening. And until next time, this is the Theological Coordinator saying, peace.